studio we have the architects of building a Better Avelley. We have Julian Crammer, who is the Director of Children and Services, Chair of CYP SP Executive. We also have Stuart MacArthur, Head of Children, Young People and Maternity Commissioning, South West Essex PCT. Stuart Free, Head of Resources, Development and Lifelong Learning, CEF. The Chief Inspector Alan Cotgrove, Essex Police. And Hugh Johnston, Associate Director of Child and Adolescent Mental Services, South Essex Partnership Trust. Gordon Brown has said that he wants to help raise standards of behaviour in schools. How can you help our school to achieve this?
I think your school does very well, Elise. You've won national awards for your inclusiveness and for your approach to behavioural policies. What we need to do as an authority is take the good practice that you have and share it across all our schools. So you're leading the way. We hope, using the authority's resources, that we can get the same deal for every young person in Thurrock.
If we are tougher on discipline, as Mr Brown suggests, this might result in lots more exclusions from school. Would you support this approach?
I'm not one to disagree with the new Prime Minister. I actually think what we need is good education, good pastoral systems, and we need schools that are warm, welcoming, attractive places so that behaviour is good. In the Aveley context, you've described us as the architects of education. I think you've got all the ingredients of a well-run school here. More to the point, the Ofsted inspectors agree with that. What I'd like to do is help you build a brand new school so that your ambitions have the right sorts of facilities to back them up.
What are the main issues regarding young people that you have had to deal with in your role?
I think in health there are a range of young people's issues really. One of the significant ones I suppose is sexual health for children and young people really, and one of my objectives will be to improve access to sexual health services across sort of the area of Thurrock so that young people have access in suitable facilities that they will actually take up and access, because very often we set up services like this in clinics, etc., and generally young people don't want to go there. So I would see as actually going out to where you sort of congregate, where you actually carry out social activity and be more involved in those environments really.
What advice do you give to young people in order to avoid unwanted pregnancies?
Well, again, it relates to our sexual health sort of strategy, really, and the drop-in sessions that we have for young people, so that within those environments, generally, where they're accessing things such as family planning, etc., we would be giving a range of healthy lifestyles advice as well. So in those sort of settings, in an appropriate setting, that's the sort of advice that will be carried out in those settings, really.
We would like our school to be more modern and up to date. Can you tell us when the new work will start on our new school building?
Yes, we hope to start that work within the next 5 years, providing we can acquire a new site for your school and sufficient resources from the government to pay for the rebuilding project.
Is there enough money to build a completely new school for the young people of Aveley, and how long do you think this would take?
There isn't enough money at the moment, but we hope that through our lobbying of government, enough money will come to rebuild the whole school. A rebuilding project on this scale would take about 3 years from start to finish.
The school has had a good relationship with the police, and they are very helpful in lots of different ways. What are the plans for future police support for the schools?
We're hoping to bring more support with our police and community support officers. They should already be in the school. Also got a dedicated neighbourhood support officer, who also take part in school activities as well, so I hope to build on it in that way.
Are the ASBOs, antisocial behaviour orders, given to young people in this area helping to reduce levels of crime and disorder?
Fortunately, we haven't had to give many ASBOs to this area, which is encouraging in the first place. It is another option for us to look at and use as part of our toolkit to reduce crime and antisocial behaviour. But overall, as I say, the behaviour is quite good, so we only have to have a limited amount of ASBOs in this area.
Pupils these days have had to sit a lot of exams, and some find this very stressful and worrying. What advice could you give to stop pupils being depressed during the exam sessions?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be well prepared, to have made use of all of the support which the school is able to offer you. and just get a good sense of perspective.
Is it true that smoking cannabis can cause mental health problems in young people?
Well, what people have found is that increasingly over the last 8 to 10 years, particularly as a lot of the cannabis which has been used is much stronger than it was in the 1970s and 1980s, that there does seem to be an association between people who start, particularly young men who start smoking cannabis at quite an early age, and people who are developing really quite severe mental health problems, particularly schizophrenia, in their 20s. So it's difficult to say absolutely for sure that, yep, smoking dope is going to make you mad, but there is some evidence that there is an association between the two. Given, you know, if you're smoking a lot and if it's strong, and also really depending on what kind of person you might be to start off with and some of the problems which you may have.
Well, you've heard it from the architects. There are a lot of positive things developing in the pipeline. If you have any views on the programme, you can contact us at yourviews@bellischase.tv.